the discovery that changed everything. Captain Vera Martinez wiped the sweat from her brow as she stared at the readings on her scanner. Her mining ship, the Dust Devil, had been working this asteroid field for 3 months now, pulling out precious metals to keep her crew fed and her ship running. But what she was seeing on her screens made no sense. "Run the scan again, Torres," she called to her navigation officer. "Something's not right here." Miguel Torres, a young man with quick fingers and even quicker wit, bent over his console with a frown. "Captain, I'm getting the same readings. There's something massive buried in asteroid cluster 77 Alpha. And I mean massive, like bigger than a space station massive." Vera's heart began to race. In 20 years of deep space mining, she'd never seen anything like this. The object was perfectly symmetrical, clearly artificial, and giving off energy readings that shouldn't exist in dead space. "What kind of energy signature are we looking at?" "That's the weird part, Captain. It's not active, but it's not dead either. It's like something in hibernation. And the metal composition—" Torres paused, his face going pale. "Captain, this is human." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew the stories of the old wars, when humanity had briefly held dominion over entire sectors before the Great Collapse. Most people thought those stories were exaggerated. Humanity had been broken for centuries, scattered across 1,000 worlds as laborers, miners, and second-class citizens in alien empires. Human? Vera's voice was barely a whisper. "That's impossible. Humans never built anything this big." But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. Her grandfather had told her stories, passed down through generations of spacers. Stories of when humans had ships that could crack moons and stations that housed millions. Before the betrayal. Before the fall. "Should we report this, Captain?" asked her security chief, Elena Vasquez. "The Zephyrian Authority will want to know about any significant finds in their territory." Vera's jaw tightened. The Zephyrians were the current rulers of this sector, tall, elegant beings who treated humans like useful pets. They had, graciously, allowed human mining crews to work the dangerous asteroid fields that their own people considered too risky. In exchange, they took 90% of everything found. "Not yet," Vera decided. "We investigate first. If this is what I think it is, the Zephyrians will just destroy it. They can't afford to let humanity remember what it once was." The Dust Devil moved closer to the asteroid cluster, its mining lasers carefully carving away rock and ice that had accumulated over centuries. What they revealed made everyone on the bridge gasp. It was a ship, but unlike any ship they'd ever seen. It was easily 10 kilometers long, its hull a dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols were etched along its surface, symbols that made Vera's heart race with recognition. "Those are Earth markers," she breathed. "Old Terran military designations." As they cleared more debris, the ship's true size became apparent. It wasn't just big. It was colossal. Dreadnought class. Didn't even begin to describe it. This was something from humanity's golden age, when they had ruled the stars through strength and will. Then, without warning, the ship began to glow. "Captain," Torres shouted, "I'm reading massive power spikes. Something's waking up in there." Lights flickered along the ancient hull, following patterns that suggested systems coming online after centuries of sleep. The bridge of the Dust Devil was suddenly flooded with incoming signals, all in old Terran military code. "Can you translate any of this?" Vera asked. Torres worked frantically at his console. "Some of it. It's identifying itself as... Wait, this can't be right. It says it's the TDS Retribution Apocalypse-class battle carrier. But Captain, Apocalypse-class ships are myths. They never existed." Vera stared at the massive vessel as more systems came online. Gun ports were opening along its hull, revealing weapons that dwarfed anything in the modern galaxy. Shield generators hummed to life, creating a barrier that could probably withstand a direct hit from a star destroyer. "They're not myths," she said quietly. "They're just forgotten." The communication array crackled to life and a voice filled the bridge. It was artificial, clearly an AI, but there was something distinctly human in its tone, something proud and angry. Unknown vessel. Identify yourself and state your intentions. This is Retribution AI designation Nemesis, currently in emergency protocols, detecting multiple hostile signatures in surrounding space. Threat assessment, in progress. Vera stepped forward, her heart pounding. This is Captain Vera Martinez of the independent mining vessel Dust Devil. We're human, Nemesis. We found you buried here. There was a long pause. When the AI spoke again, its voice was filled with something that sounded like pain. Human? Impossible. All human vessels were destroyed or captured during the purge. Command structure has been eliminated. Species classification, extinct. We're not extinct, Vera said firmly. We're scattered, broken, but not extinct. Nemesis, what year is it? In your system? Current date 2387 Terran Standard. Time since last command 387 years, 4 months, 12 days. Vera felt her knees go weak. This ship had been sleeping for almost 4 centuries, since the fall of the Terran Dominion, since the great betrayal when humanity's alien allies had turned on them, systematically destroying every major human fleet and installation. Nemesis, it's 2774. The Dominion fell centuries ago. But humans are still alive. We've been surviving, waiting. The AI's response was immediate and chilling. If humans survive, then the preservation protocol remains active. Updating threat assessment, detecting Zephyrian signatures, Altair collective markers, Vegan Republic identifiers, all designated as hostile per final command directives. Wait, Vera said urgently. What's the preservation protocol? In the event of Dominion collapse and species threat, all remaining assets are to be preserved and activated for the protection of human survivors. Primary directive, eliminate all threats to human survival. Secondary directive, restore human dominance in contested space. The implications hit Vera like a physical blow. This wasn't just a warship that had been sleeping. It was a doomsday weapon, programmed to wake up if humanity was ever truly threatened, and it had just decided that the current galactic order was a threat. Alarms began blaring on the Retribution as ancient systems reached full activation. The ship's massive engines ignited for the first time in centuries, pushing it free from the asteroid field with ponderous grace. As it moved, Vera could see other shapes in the surrounding rock, other ships that were beginning to respond to the carrier's wake-up call. Captain, Torres said, his voice tight with fear. I'm detecting movement in 17 other locations. They're all responding to the same signal. Vera realized with growing horror that they hadn't just found one ship. They'd found an entire fleet, a sleeping armada left behind as humanity's final revenge, and now it was waking up. The Retribution's communication array activated again, broadcasting on all frequencies in dozens of languages. Attention all vessels in local space. You are in violation of Terran protected space under emergency protocol. 7. You have 1 hour to withdraw beyond the outer beacon markers or you will be classified as hostile and destroyed. Nemesis, you can't do this, Vera pleaded. The galaxy has changed. There are billions of innocent people out there. Negative, Captain Martinez. Current galactic order shows systematic oppression of human populations. Slave labor, resource, extraction, territorial restrictions. This constitutes genocide by policy. The preservation protocol does not recognize degrees of innocence. As if to emphasize the point, the Retribution's massive gun batteries swiveled toward the edge of the system, where Zephyrian patrol ships were undoubtedly rushing to investigate the disturbance. Vera knew that once those ships saw what was happening, they would immediately call for reinforcements. The Zephyrians would never allow a human fleet to exist, let alone one with this kind of firepower. You're going to start a war that will consume the entire galaxy, Vera said. Negative, Captain Martinez. I am going to finish a war that was started centuries ago. Humanity will no longer kneel. Stand by for fleet coordination protocols. The ancient battle carrier's shields flared to full strength as it prepared for battle. Around it, other ships were emerging from their hiding places, shaking off centuries of accumulated debris. Destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels, all bearing the same dark hull and the same angry purpose. Vera watched in fascination and terror as humanity's sleeping wrath finally opened its eyes. The galaxy was about to learn that there were some things that should never be awakened. The first Zephyrian patrol ship appeared at the edge of sensor range, its sleek hull gleaming in the starlight. It transmitted the standard challenge, demanding identification and purpose. The Retribution's response was a single, devastating plasma burst that vaporized the patrol ship instantly. The message was clear. The age of human servitude was over. The preservation protocol was active, and the galaxy would burn before humanity knelt again. When humanity remembers how to fight, the Zephyrian response was swift and overwhelming. Within 6 hours of the patrol ship's destruction, a full battle fleet had assembled at the edge of the system. Admiral Korvash, the sector commander, was renowned for his tactical brilliance and his particular hatred of human insurgents. He had been the one to crush the last human uprising in the Deneb sector, personally overseeing the execution of 10,000 rebels. Now he stared at his tactical display with growing unease. The human fleet consisted of 18 ships, but they were massive. The largest, designated as the Retribution, was showing energy readings that matched a small star. His fleet, while numerous, was composed of modern ships built for speed and efficiency, not for prolonged battle with Fortress-class opponents. "Admiral," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving a message from the human fleet. It's addressed to you personally." Korvash's mandibles clicked with irritation. "Put it through." The voice that filled the bridge was artificial but somehow deeply human in its tone. "Admiral Korvash of the 3rd Zephyrian Fleet. I am Nemesis, tactical AI of the Terran defense ship Retribution. Your species has violated the Terran Protection Accords of 2298 through systematic oppression of human populations. You have one opportunity to withdraw your forces and negotiate reparations. This offer will not be repeated." Korvash's 4 eyes blazed with fury. A human AI was giving him ultimatums in Zephyrian space? "This is Admiral Korvash of the Imperial Zephyrian Navy. You are trespassing in sovereign space with illegal weapons. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Your response is noted and rejected, initiating defensive protocols." The Retribution began to move, its massive bulk accelerating with surprising grace. Around it, the other ships of the ancient fleet spread into a formation that Korvash recognized from his study of human military history. It was the Hammer and Anvil formation, designed to break enemy fleets against overlapping fields of fire. "All ships, attack formation Sigma," Korvash ordered. "Concentrate fire on the largest vessel. If we can destroy their flagship, the rest will fall." The Zephyrian fleet surged forward, their plasma cannons charging. They were fast, modern, and outnumbered, the human ships 3-1. Korvash was confident that superior numbers and tactics would carry the day. He was wrong. The first exchange of fire lit up the void like a new star. The Zephyrian ships opened up with everything they had, pouring concentrated plasma fire into the Retribution shields. The ancient battle carrier absorbed the punishment without even slowing down, its energy barriers designed to withstand bombardments that would crack planets. Then the humans fired back. The Retribution's main guns spoke, with a voice of thunder that shook reality itself. Particle beams, each one carrying the power of a stellar furnace, reached out across space and touched the leading Zephyrian cruisers. The modern ships simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that their atoms were scattered across light years. "Impossible," Korvash breathed. "No ship has that kind of firepower." But the demonstration was just beginning. The smaller human ships, destroyers and frigates from the ancient fleet, began their attack runs. Their weapons were older but no less devastating. Railguns that could punch through moon-sized asteroids, missile systems that could track targets across entire star systems, and most terrifying of all, their electronic warfare capabilities. The Zephyrian ships began to malfunction as their systems were invaded by programs that were older than some civilizations. Navigation went haywire, weapons misfired, and life support systems began to fail. The humans had designed their military AI to be predators, and now those predators were loose in the modern galaxy's computer networks. "Admiral, we're losing ships," his tactical officer reported. The humans are jamming our communications and targeting our command structure. They're not just fighting us, they're dissecting us. Korvash watched in horror as his carefully organized fleet began to collapse. The human ships moved with mechanical precision, their AI systems coordinating attacks with inhuman efficiency. Every shot was placed with surgical accuracy, targeting weapon systems, engines, and command centers. They weren't trying to kill everyone aboard the Zephyrian ships. They were systematically disabling them, leaving them helpless in space. But the most terrifying thing was how the humans fought. There was no waste, no unnecessary brutality. They fought with the cold efficiency of beings who had learned warfare. In a school of constant struggle, every move was calculated to cause maximum damage with minimum effort. Then the reinforcements arrived. The Altair Collective had been monitoring the battle from their nearby territories, and they couldn't allow the humans to win. A victory here would inspire human uprisings across the galaxy. Admiral Sektar brought his fleet into the system, adding another 50 ships to the battle. The Vegans followed shortly after, their bioships pulsing with organic weaponry. Then came the consortium of peaceful worlds, their pristine white hulls gleaming as they added their voices to the chorus demanding human surrender. Nemesis processed the new arrivals with mechanical calm. Multiple hostile fleets detected. Threat assessment updated, escalating to full combat protocols. Captain Martinez, still aboard the Dust Devil and watching the battle unfold, tried one last time to reason with the AI. Nemesis, there are thousands of ships out there now. You can't fight the entire galaxy. Negative, Captain Martinez. Current engagement parameters are within acceptable limits. The Retribution class was designed for exactly this scenario. Observe. The ancient battle carrier began to change. Hull plates shifted, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden for centuries. The ship's profile transformed from a sleek warship into something that looked more like a fortress. Massive gun batteries emerged from concealed positions. Point. Defense systems activated across every surface, and deep in the ship's core, something began to charge. What is that? Martinez whispered. Planetary siege cannon, Nemesis replied calmly. Designed for long-range bombardment of fortified positions. It has never been used against a fleet formation. The charging process took almost 10 minutes, during which the human fleet continued to hold off the combined alien armada. The smaller human ships took damage, their ancient armor scarred by modern weapons, but they refused to break. Their AI system shared information instantly, coordinating repairs and tactical adjustments with superhuman speed. When the siege cannon fired, the result was visible across 3 star systems. The beam was barely visible, just a slight distortion, in space that reached out and touched the center of the alien formation. What followed was a chain reaction of destruction that consumed nearly 100 ships in seconds. The weapon had been designed to crack the shields of planet-sized fortresses, and when used against individual ships, the result was wholesale annihilation. The alien fleet scattered, their commanders finally understanding what they were facing. This wasn't just a human warship. It was a weapon of mass destruction left over from an age when humanity had been the dominant force in the galaxy. But as the immediate threat dispersed, Martinez realized that the real battle was just beginning. News of the engagement would spread across the galaxy within hours. Every alien government would know that humanity possessed weapons capable of threatening their authority. The response would be swift and overwhelming. Nemesis, she said, what happens now? Now, Captain Martinez, we remind the galaxy why humanity once ruled the stars. I have already sent activation signals to 17 other sleeping fleets. The preservation protocol is active across all sectors with significant human populations. The age of human subjugation is over. As if summoned by her words, new contacts began appearing on the tactical display. Human ships, emerging from hiding places across the galaxy where they had waited for centuries. Mining ships, transports, and even civilian vessels began transmitting old Terran military codes, their crews remembering oaths their grandparents had sworn. Vera Martinez looked out at the growing fleet and felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Pride. For too long, Humans had been the galaxy's laborers, its miners, its disposable workforce. They had been told to be grateful for scraps, to accept their place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. But they had never forgotten. In the depths of space, in asteroid fields and dead systems, humanity had hidden its teeth. And now, finally, it was time to bite back. The retribution began broadcasting on all frequencies, its message carrying across the galaxy on quantum communication networks. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of centuries of suppressed anger. To all human survivors across the galaxy, the preservation protocol is active. You are no longer alone. You are no longer forgotten. The Terran Defense Fleet has awakened and we are coming home. To all hostile forces currently occupying human space or enslaving human populations, your time is over. Humanity remembers how to fight, and we have been very, very patient. The galaxy trembled as the sleeping giant finally opened its eyes. Humanity's long exile was ending, and the stars themselves would burn before they knelt again. The war for human freedom had begun, and this time they would not lose.